Good morning, and thank you for joining me in my final press briefing for 2024. As we close out the year, I want to take a moment to reflect on what we've accomplished. My shared gratitude for the collective efforts and for those who have made these efforts possible, and I also want to preview our plans for 2025. Reflecting on our 2024 accomplishment, I started off this year by sharing my word for the year, which is bullseye. This signpost has served as a constant reminder to me and my team to stay on target and our commitment to action and getting things done. So the 5 different pillars from our strategic plan and strategic doing in action items that I will just give you a few highlights in each of these 5 items. So starting with public safety, together we have advanced public safety in meaningful ways, including hiring 129 new police officers this year, moving us closer to authorized strength. We also completed the needs assessment for the Police Training Academy facility while we're continuing the good and difficult work of identifying different avenues for funding this much needed facility in our city. 2, the Colorado Springs Fire Department, led by Randy Royal, the International Fire Chief of the Year. We broke ground on Fire Station 24 on the north side and opened Fire Station 25 in southeast. Both public safety departments have taken significant steps to innovate and to better protect and serve the needs of our city. The police department launched a pilot program called the Drone as the First Responder, and our fire department successfully initiated the first whole blood program in the state, a program that is already saving lives. 2, infrastructure. The passage of the ballot initiative 2C by over 73% was a strong statement of support from our residents. And that means another 10 years of critical road repair and maintenance work by our Public Works Department without raising taxes. The Circuit Drive Bridge replacement program, the Circuit Drive Bridges replacement, one of the 4 longest bridges in this city, is one of the many capital improvement projects that happened this year. The Keep It Clean COS program has cleaned up more than 42 tons of debris. So I want you to imagine 9 Olympic-sized swimming pools full of trash. That's a big deal. We've had a record number of passengers travel through our Colorado Springs Airport as we continue to expand air service and nonstop options, including for the first time international travel. And our Parks and Recreation and Cultural Services Department completed a major improvement project at our Treasured Pioneers Museum that included significant upgrades to our HVAC system. We also started a critical water line project at Garden of the Gods, which aligns our strategic priorities of preserving our natural resources and enhancing community resilience. Next, housing. We launched the 2025 to 2030 Homeless Response Action Plan, which outlines our priorities to improve public safety, assist individuals experiencing homelessness, and support local businesses. And I'm proud to report that we've allocated $1.6 million in housing and urban development HUD funds to approximately 1,200 units that are either under construction or ready to lease. The 4th is the economy. Economic vitality. We've had many positive wins in 2024, but I can't talk about economic vitality without acknowledging that we are in a tough economy. Our city organization is also feeling the pinch in our budget, and in response, we have taken proactive steps to ensure that we are managing our resources responsibly while continuing to provide essential services for our community. So this means finding innovative ways to do more with less and working to maximize efficiency. Our small businesses have felt it too. I've read all the stories about small businesses closing. And I've personally made the hard decision myself, my team, my business partners and I, to close our business this year. This is why early this year I hired a small business development administrator who's meeting regularly with these small businesses to offer connections to resources and information. So we are actively supporting them. And we launched the Business Navigator, an online guide to help entrepreneurs to launch new businesses in Colorado Springs. So if you're looking to start a small business here in this city, I encourage you to visit coloradosprings.gov because we have the tools and we're ready to help you navigate the process. New videos will actually drop next month. Furthermore, the city has approved 8 economic developments this year, just shy of last year 9 record economic development agreements. That equates to $650 million in investment in our community, including $24 million in projected new net revenue from projects. And what this means is it equates to is 833 projected new jobs and over 200 jobs retained. And finally, community activation. Pikes Peak Horizon. This is a mental health initiative championed by my wife, Abby, and a collaboration of about 40 partners in our community under the banner of Pikes Peak Horizon to address the growing mental health crisis in our community and provide easier access to care, including the state's first public web portal for mental resources. If you or someone you know needs help, Pikes Peak Horizon 360 is a great place to start. And I'm proud of our community initiative to host 1,000 neighborhood gatherings across the city this year. This was a huge success and helped us earn the national ranking of the #1 most neighborly city in the country. Together, we are building a city of great neighbors and a city of great neighborhoods, a city that I say is safe, economically prosperous, culturally rich, and welcoming, a vibrant world-class American city on a hill that shines brightly. Other memorable 2024 moments that stand out to me includes our very own Switchback FC winning the first conference championship and the overall league champion, defeating Rhode Island 3-0 in the United Soccer League USL Championship Final. And over 40% of Olympic City USA athletes competing and medaling at the Paris Olympic and Paralympic Games. As I've said, based on the number of athletes that live here, if Colorado Springs were a country, we would have placed 3rd in the Paris 2024 Olympic medal count with about 66 medals. We're not just a city for champion, we are a city of champions. And I want to give a shout out to the TCA Titans for also being state champions, football champions. As I describe these achievements, I know none of this will be possible without the hardworking staff, community partners, and the residents in our community who contribute every day to the vitality of our great city. Our city's success has been noticed by others. Our departments and team members have received dozens of awards. And Colorado Springs continues to land in the top 10 most coveted national rankings. I'm going to quickly note 3 of the top-notch awards that has been received by my team members, the ones that stand out to me. Number 1 is Chief Royal. Randy Royal, our fire chief, was named, as I said earlier, the International Fire Chief of the Year. What makes this significant is he was recognized for his leadership out of 22,000 fire chiefs across the country. The second team members I actually want to highlight is they're all from the Colorado Springs Police Department. This is Detective Kristen Genta, Detective Vito Delcourt, and Detective Addison Morgan, all who received the 2024 U.S. Attorney's Award for Excellence. And the third is our Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Services team. We received the Starburst People's Choice Award for excellence for Panorama Park. And my top 3 favorite rankings, I think the last time I counted, we were about 17 this year. But my top three, and I know most of these you're familiar with, the number one most desirable city in the country by U.S. News and World Report. Another one I mentioned being the number one most neighborly city in the U.S. by Neighbor.com, and the third one is the number three best place to live by U.S. News and World Report. For a full list of those accolades and gold medal moments, go to coloradosprings.gov. Okay, looking ahead to next year, and I believe 2025 will be a year of both promise and also possibilities and responsibility from us, from city government. So in 2025, we have bold plans to leverage data to drive smarter decisions and better outcomes for our city. My team is probably tired of me saying this, stealing a quote from Michael Bloomberg, in God we trust, for everybody else, bring data. By investing in data-driven solutions, we can enhance transparency, improve efficiency, and tailor our services to meet the evolving needs of our community. The commitment to evidence-based decision-making ensures that we're just not reacting to challenges, but anticipating them and creating proactive and sustainable solutions for us in Colorado Springs. And beyond this big push for data in 2025, there are three action items I am particularly excited about. And by the way, I think we have a number of objectives. We're in the final stages of our 2025 strategic doing items, and I believe we're about 28 objectives right now, but three I want to leave you guys with. Number one is we will be enhancing our police department's real-time crime center. Most of our media partners have covered this story. Thank you. And this new tool that was launched this last October will add a new set of eyes to our law enforcement efforts. Furthermore, it will support our officers and detectives with real-time information from department records, law enforcement databases, public and private cameras, and other integrated technologies. Number two, we will complete the citywide housing needs assessment and action plan. This comprehensive analysis will be critical for understanding the national market, identifying gaps, and informing housing solutions to help increase the housing supply, support home ownership, and collaborate with builders and nonprofits to meet the identified needs. And third is that we will engage the community. I will engage actually the community through a citywide report out and listening tour. Perhaps you remember my first 100 days. I went to all 6 districts to conduct a listening session, and we were able to engage with hundreds of residents. And we also conducted a virtual one. About before my 2-year mark in office, my plan is to get back to the community and report out on the progress of things we've been working on, as well as listen to them to receive more information. This will help continue my promise to promote a government that is transparent, proactive, and approachable, and to be a mayor for all people. Okay, I lied. There's a fourth bonus item. I always do this. I'm also looking forward to welcoming a few new elected officials to our city council in the April's election. All 6 district seats will be on the ballot, so it's going to be an exciting time. So if you are considering running for office, a reminder that candidate filing begins on December 31st. Our city clerk, Sarah Johnson, is happy to meet with people who are interested so that you have all the information to file and to begin the process. So in closing today, before I open up to question, I just want to encourage our residents of this great city to take a moment in this holiday to pause, to notice, and to choose. And to reflect on what truly matters. This is a practice my leadership at the city we've been doing all year. Pause, notice, choose. and let's reflect on what truly matters. This includes the connections that we have with each other, the values that we hold so dear, and our shared hope for a brighter future. I'll leave you with the three quick things I told my team members as we conclude this year. I believe this holiday season provides an opportunity for three things, and they are gratitude, generosity, and unity. Gratitude, despite today's challenges, I believe there's so much to be thankful for, friends, family, and the community that surrounds us. And the gratitude for living and the blessing of living in the most desirable city in the United States. Generosity, I truly believe this season calls us to be a little bit more generous with our thought, not just with our gifts, but also with our time, kindness, and compassion. And three, unity. I believe this season provides us an opportunity to be united in celebration and hope. It's a time for us to come together, see each other, appreciate our shared humanity, and extend goodwill to everyone, regardless of our differences. To the residents of our great city, I wish you a hopeful, peaceful, and a joyful season filled with love and meaningful connection. To the residents of our great city, I ask you to join me in carrying this great momentum from this year forward to 2025 to make Colorado Springs that city of great neighbors and great neighborhoods, a city that is safe, economically prosperous, welcoming, culturally rich, a vibrant, world-class city on a hill that we call Colorado Springs. Merry Christmas and happy holidays. What questions do you have for me? Yes.
Do you regret waiting as long as you did to address the allegations that you lied to the FBI? And what do you have to say to constituents who believe you may have had something to hide?
I believe you have access to my Facebook Live, and I was clear that in respect for the rule of law and the legal process, that I hold that in high regard. And in the same way, like most of our community members who want to see justice brought to our community, and to do that, we need to respect the law. So I waited to ensure that I was not tampering with an active case.
To wait 2 weeks, though, to respond to your questions?
I want to be careful what I say. There's 3 people have been indicted. It's a serious matter. This has had impacts to my family, major impact. I believe that's more important than just 2 weeks of addressing the media. It's an active case. There are lives involved in that, and that's the most important priority for me.
And to that end, in April of 2023, the day after that campaign signed fire video, you sent a statement to KOAA. In that statement, you cautioned that the fire was potentially staged or created. What made you think that it could have been staged or created?
You have access to the same information that I do, so thank you.
You mentioning cooperating in this investigation.
Yes.
You released the letter where the DOJ showed that you were a victim. Will you release the communication that you had with the suspect, or give some insight into what that conversation was?
Thank you, Allison. And I believe you have access to the same information too. The FBI truly has access to that information. The FBI has released and submitted the case to the U.S. Attorney, and all that information is currently public.
You have the text messages to verify right on your phone right now?
I believe the information is public right now, and I can't comment on an active case because I want to see justice brought to our community and to my family.
So beyond what is in the indictment, you want to release communication.
It's an active case right now. I would like to see justice brought to my family and to our community, so I cannot comment on that.
It's an active case. Are you still involved in the investigation as in are you still communicating with the FBI?
I am communicating with the U.S. Attorney's Office. In fact, as of yesterday, as I'm a victim, and so they keep close tabs with me and inform me every process of the way, as well as providing my family with information to support us in this season, to include being victims of a hate crime and security protection when we need it. I cannot comment on that. I was not part of that. You're going to have to ask Derek Bernard that question.
There was, in that indictment said that you had requested info from Bernard?
You're going to have to ask Derek Bernard that question.
You've maintained that your interaction with the suspect was strictly as a legal professional. Do you have a message for the community who might be questioning the appropriateness of that relationship?
Yeah, there are a number of us that have been in Derek Bernard's studio for either town hall or some of the initiatives that he put together. Many elected officials, and I wasn't even an elected official at the time. So many of us have engaged him as a media personality, and at the time I was not aware of his background and his story. Just like I engage you as media personalities, and I don't know of your background or your stories.
So you were unaware that he was a convicted felon at the time of your communication with him?
I was unaware, just like I'm unaware of your background and your stories right now.
Can you talk to me about what you're most excited about? You had a list of things that you want to get going next year. What are you most excited to go after next year?
That's a great question. There are a few things actually I'm most excited. I'm looking forward to capitalizing on the momentum from the neighborhood gatherings to make it a lifestyle, not just a campaign. I think mental health still remains one of the community's top priorities. I'm committed to being a mayor that is not just responding after issues have happened, but also going upstream to make sure that we are providing the resources and tools to make sure the families in our communities are healthy. I've often said most of our societal crises, domestic abuse, homelessness, teen suicide, many of these issues that come my way and to my office stem from an unhealthy mind, and I want to make sure our community has the tools to ensure that to ensure their well-being. So that one is really important. I'm excited about. You've heard me talk about the Police Training Academy. I believe and the need for this first responder complex. There's conversations happening around. The need is greater just than an academy itself. I mean, we want to ensure that we're providing leadership development opportunities. We want to make sure we're providing even the mental health care for our officers. We want to make sure we're equipping them with the tools to deal with the public safety realities of today, which a lot of those calls are behavioral health in nature, which our officers, they didn't sign up to be social workers, but that's the reality of the job today. So I'm looking forward to equipping them with the tools to be able to deal with the public safety realities today. We talked about the PERF report that just came out, and we're exploring jiu-jitsu as a way for officers to use that as a way to de-escalate situations. I have a practice of engaging each new class, and they get to hear from the mayor. They get to ask me any questions, and I was actually surprised that a lot of the new cadets in training are aware of the jiu-jitsu training, and many of them are excited of that possibility. We have a few things brewing that I can't tell you, and I'm looking forward to announcing when the public. And so stay tuned in 2025. International travel is a big deal for us at the airport. That opens up a lot of different economic development opportunities in tourism as well. So please join us on June 7th for this much needed vacation maybe you need to go to Cancun. So I'm looking forward to not even just that project itself, it's what that project represents for a growing city. And the airport continues to be hitting record numbers. We're feeling the pressure right now in a good way of a growing airport. My family and I would be at the airport tomorrow greeting passengers travelers who are traveling, leaving the city, travelers who are coming in. Last year we did this. It was an unbelievable experience to meet so many local residents from Texas, but most importantly, residents who live in Parker, residents who live in Castle Rock, who were excited to tell me that this is their airport of choice, that they love to fly out of COS, and they said, Mayor, can we continue to add more flights? And so I'm looking forward to that experience tomorrow, hearing directly from people and how that feeds into the need to continue to grow our infrastructure to keep pace with a growing city. And that's at the top of my list and my priority.
Can you clarify the authorized
Yes.
And then the budget season recently expanded it too. So when you say that you're on track to meet authorized strength by January,
That's a great question, Allison. So all year long, I've been talking about the need to get to authorized strength, which we haven't done since 2019, and that number is 819. Now, the approved budget by City Council 8-1, we're growing that number another 20. So in 2025, our new authorized strength will be 839. Now, with the new class that we just admitted, we're close to about 800 officers. So think about 790. Ira, I'm looking at you to get that number if you know. We're close to, let's just say we're approximately 800. But I also want the community to be aware that with that number 800, some of them are still in training. So that's not all officers that are out there on patrol, keeping our community safe. 793 is the exact number with the current class. And so I expect us to, in 2025, to actually get to the authorized strength of 839 officers, and especially with our concurrent academies that we're doing, we get us there.
There are a couple of localized contentious issues that feel just very Colorado
Right.
Springs that are on people's minds right now. The ones that come most immediately to mind for me are the amphitheater skyscraper. What's the stickiest wicket for you as you look into 2025? The most challenging, controversial issue that you feel you have to fight with?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. Take your pick. We have a number of them. That's okay. That shows that what that translates to me as mayor is that we have a city that is engaged. We have residents that love their city like I do, and are actively involved in the work of democracy. I've always said democracy is best served when residents actually engage in the decisions that affect their well-being. 2 days ago, I was at the Classical Academy, meeting with about 350 residents. Primarily, many of them, most of them lived in the neighborhood, and I felt that was a very successful event. But for them, and also for me, they needed to hear directly from their mayor. I needed to hear directly from them, in terms of how this. For many of them, I believe that they were able to articulate that they believe that this project is good and it moves our city forward. A few of them use the word progress, but at the same time, they don't want progress to infiltrate in their own personal lives. And I think that's the work we're trying to do. I mean, this project is good for our city. It's created incredible economic development opportunities. The businesses and the hotels around it are just full. I mean, we're seeing hundreds of zip codes from around the country come to our city. So we know it's a good project, but we also know that there was a neighborhood there before the project landed. So it's important. My work and my focus is on sound mitigation efforts to ensure that we can minimize the impact of this progress in people's homes. And I promised to the residents that we would create a landing page that we're able to update the progress of our work around truly notes and venues work around sound mitigation efforts. Because one of the things I heard loud and clear is our residents may not know what the city is doing. So in the spirit of transparency, I want to, and being proactive, let's provide a landing page for them to check in periodically to monitor, see the progress of that work.
So do you think the amphitheater is the most challenging tightrope to walk?
Oh, that's a great one. I'd say that the several. I don't know if I have just one, and that's just the reality of my job. I would say I'll answer your question by saying that it's the most current tightrope that I'm walking. Now, next week that could change. In a month that could change.
What are some other big ones?
Well, you've mentioned you've mentioned One Villa as one of them. They're one of the ongoing ones for us, and I'm looking at Amy here. Is the need for more housing, and how do I communicate the need for more housing projects in existing neighborhoods without the residents feeling like it's going to change the character or the vibrancy of the neighborhood, because that value is really important, and that's why sometimes we experience pushback. But we have a real need. We have a real challenge, and the housing needs assessment will hopefully get us in the spirit of data and having data drive the solution. The housing needs assessment will hopefully get us there. Now, it's important for me to remind our residents too. I meet with our military partners on a regular basis. 2 weeks ago, I met with Lieutenant General David Miller. He heads up SPOC U.S. Space Operations, and we sat, as we do, to talk about how the city can support them. The top three needs, the third one was new to me, but the first two are consistent: housing, childcare, and now healthcare. I will be meeting with Major General Doyle from Fort Carson, which housed the largest number of military members in our community on a monthly basis in 2025, so that we're staying in close touch with their needs. And housing remains one of the top needs in our community. I often say that when we say thank you for your service, those words are mere lip service if we don't put those words into action and provide places for our soldiers, airmen, and guardians to live, so they're not worried about family issues and they can keep their eye on the mission of keeping our nation safe.
One last follow-up there. When you say existing neighborhoods, you're referencing the conversation around ADUs. Yeah.
Not necessary, but ADUs is another one of those sticking points right now, and it all feeds into the growing need for more housing and our implementation of this, of the ordinance that City Council is exploring right now is truly is a state mandate that we're trying to interpret in our own local community, but it feeds into this greater need and greater narrative, and we're all trying to figure out how to solve it. Truly is what it comes down to, while at the same time respecting the vibrancy of our neighborhoods.
Back to the aforementioned subject, is there anything that stood out to you during your 3 interviews with the FBI, 2 in January, 1 in May?
I hope you can respect that this is an active case and that my family and I want justice. The community wants justice, and I've already answered this question over and over.
Will you be testifying in Denver during the federal?
You have access to the information that I have. I've made that public, Heather, so you have access to the same information that I have. Yes.
So we've been seeing you around town with the small businesses, open up diverse restaurants and stuff like that. Can you elaborate on how wonderful it's been becoming in our neighborhood and seeing these businesses thrive?
Yeah, small businesses, as you know, are truly the backbone, they're the spine of the economy. They not only provide jobs and much needed income and revenue for the families that have started these businesses, and I know because that's been my journey to the mayor's office. But they also create the culture and the vibrancy of our community need. They create the character that make up who Colorado Springs is. So I'm really happy to be out there to help celebrate many of these small businesses, and I want to be empathetic to be able to say that I know a number of them are closing. I don't think it's a huge number, but I want to be mindful that many of these business owners are friends of mine. We gotta start together. So it breaks my heart to see some of these closures, and they're for all different reasons. Whether it's just a more challenging economic time, the rising cost of doing business, inflation, high wages. There's just so many reasons. Everyone has a reason for closure, but I'm equally excited to celebrate the number of openings that are happening too in our community, and it's life-giving for me to be the small business mayor who gets them, who is out there helping to celebrate this new chapter in their lives. It's a big deal. If you've never done it, it's such a big deal when you cut that ribbon and you open up to the public. Yes, sir.
CDOT recently ended its busting service at the South Tahoe parking lot, citing safety issues for passengers and drivers. Does the city have plans to address the safety and cleanliness? If so, what are they?
Of
The busting
the CDOT property?
ride at South Tahoe.
Yes, I cannot speak to that, and I'd like to follow up with that. And one of the ongoing we can follow up with you with more specific information about that. But what I can speak to is that we're in ongoing communication with our CDOT partners, and where my work starts and stops compared to where CDOT's work and starts and stop is an ongoing issue. And sometimes, we may have a particular area of bridge that demands more work that we cannot do, but we have to ensure that we're in close communication with our CDOT partners. But I know my public works team can speak more intelligently to that. But understand that we are always in close communication with them. I'll get you more of that information that you need around that. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm just kind of curious, you didn't really talk about it all, but illegal immigration, 2025 in Colorado Springs, did it help declaring Colorado Springs not a sanctuary city? And is that something you're gonna have to deal with next year? Are you willing to work with the federal government?
I want to be clear. Is your question, is it connected to the president-elect and some of the chatter that is happening around that? Okay, I didn't know if we're talking about the past or the future. Okay, future. So, no, absolutely. There's a lot of chatter around decisions the president-elect is going to make. I can't speak to what the president-elect is going to do, but what I can speak to is that our city will work to have a great relationship with the new administration because it only benefits our city. My story, as many of you know, my story. I hail from West Africa and I've had the blessing of the American dream as an immigrant. This country has been good to me. It's one of the reasons I ran for office is I want to give back to the land that added so much to my own flourishing. And I feel like it's one of the natural ways for an immigrant to give back is to run for office and to help shape the future of our country. So that's always going to be an important part of my immigration story. And that comes to bear, hopefully it comes to bear in some of these decisions. Now, as someone who is going through this whole journey of just media narrative, what's tabloid, what's gossip, what's just fear, there's some of that involved in this. I do not want to comment on the chatter or the gossips or what the president-elect is going to do. He hasn't been president, and I have trust in our form of democracy, and justice will be, and the right decisions will come to bear. I truly believe that. But ultimately, I want to ensure that we have a good relationship with the new administration like we do with the current administration. Yes.
Can you talk to us about why mental health is so important to you?
Yes. Part of it is near and dear to my own story, my family story. I have as a young teenager, I struggled. My wife has her own story, but we are parents to an adopted child from Ethiopia, and he has his own struggles. And I try not to get too emotional about this, but I feel it coming. When you are family with access, and we have family with more or less means, and you still have a hard time navigating the process, I think of all the families that don't know the people that we know, so it's even worse for them. We've had to try to fumble our way and navigate our way to even find a psychiatrist to get the right diagnosis, which ended up being 5 different things for my son, and we paid a lot of money just to get that diagnosis, and having that really helps now shape how he learns and how we engage the school and how they're able to help him, and so that he's not a data point. He has an opportunity to thrive. So many families are going through this same experiences. The numbers are alarming. They're not trending in the right direction. I just want to be clear. The U.S. Surgeon General's 9 pillars, his priorities for the country, 6 of the 9 are mental health related. If we do not get a handle on our collective mental well-being, I don't believe we're going to be moving the needle. Make no mistake about it, when our officers have to respond to a 911 call around domestic incident or homicide, which are all crimes of passion. A lot of those things are connected to a healthy mind. I do not want to be in the business of just responding. I want to do my part to ensure that we are helping to prevent these issues from happening in the first place. That's why it's that important to me.
The president-elect will be sworn in office within the next month or so. What of his policies are you influenced by as it relates to Colorado Springs, and what of his policies are you concerned about?
I'm waiting for him to be elected first. Like I said, I do not want to engage in the pre-chatter. There's a lot of, as one who's experienced what's true and not true, I am waiting for the president-elect to be elected and to congratulate him and to see how his work begins. There's a lot of nominations that have happened that have to be voted upon. The initial executive orders he's going to make, which I expect, and as he starts to make those decisions, then I have a better idea of what the impact will be for Colorado Springs.
Are you in conversations as it relates to space command?
Absolutely, almost every day, from a local level, from a federal level, and I will be in D.C. in January. Space Command has grown from about 100 team members to 1,200. It's had huge economic, huge dividends for our community. Aerospace defense companies have announced since we've reached full operational capacity. I think it's near and dear to who we are as a city. Tomorrow is actually the birthday of U.S. Space Force, since it was since the president-elect created it in 2019. Over half of all space operations happens in the state of Colorado, and Colorado Springs contains most of those. So it's near and dear to who we are as a city, our economy, as a proud military community. So you bet I am going to be actively involved in making sure we keep it, but also trying to assess what are some other backup space opportunities if we do lose it, which I don't believe we will, but I also want to be pragmatic to say, okay, what's our backup plan? And so I'm looking forward to working with the president's new administration and cabinet members.
It's surprising to hear every day, as in, is it really kind of this sort of five alarm fire priority for everyone? When you say talking about this every day, it's that big of a threat that you think it's?
Oh, that's a great question. It's not so much, I believe, I can't speak to is it the biggest threat, but the reason why it's every day is because it's that important to me. I get to place my leadership and energy and time into the initiatives that are top priority for our community, and this one is. So every day could be from talking to the Congressman-elect, Jeff Crank, who's doing a fantastic job, by the way, to the other Congress people-elect in the community, like Jeff Hurd, to the current congressional members and senators, to talking to retired four-star generals who used to be the commanders of U.S. Space Command, to talking to our current military partners, and then all the way to trying to get access to even the current the president-elect's nominees and people who will be serving at the White House. So that's the work of every day. It's a daily effort because it's that important to me.
I just wanted to circle back to immigration. You said you're confident that the right thing will happen. I'm curious what you think the right thing is.
Not so much the right thing will happen. I'm confident in our democracy and that there will be some push and pulls around some of this decision. I don't believe whatever chatter that is happening right now is necessarily going to be the reality, and I know that for sure because we have to look back in history, and our president-elect this is his second time being president, so that's the other thing too. I take comfort in knowing we kind of have an idea of how this has played out. I don't believe, just like your mayor is not single-handedly so powerful that I get to just make decisions that affect the whole community. I have 9 other elected officials that I have to work with, and there's a planning commission, a group of citizens that also help make decisions that I don't make. We have the utilities director does not report for me. Regional building department does not report to me. So there's a little bit of push and pull as we try to work together for the best decision for our residents in this region. There's a version of that happened on the federal level. So I'm trying to separate rumors and chatter that is happening versus the reality of what potentially could happen, which I don't know, but I trust our system, and there's going to be some tension and push and pulls as our nation tries to come to the best decision.
Circling back a little bit from the previous conversation, a lot of the challenges that's coming out of the next year about kind of the growth that's continuing to happen in Colorado Springs. What would you say to residents who remember what the city was like when there was 100,000, 200,000 fewer people and want to try to get back to something like that?
Right, and that is a great question, because I feel like that is when you listen deeply to not just what residents are saying, but the values of what they're saying, I think that is the crux of it, is that we're a growing city, and we miss the days where Colorado Springs felt small, and small means that we're connected. We joke that we're small. Smolorado Springs is what we call ourselves. We're small. What's small meaning that it took 10, 15 minutes to get from point A to point B, and now it's taking 20 to 30 minutes. And I think that's what we all miss. With growth comes growing pains. And it's important for me as mayor to make sure that I can't control the growth of our city. We're a free country. People get to move in and out. People want to live here. But what I hope I can control is ensuring that we have the infrastructure to keep up pace with the growth of our city. So when I come to the residents and ask for their support for 2C for the next 10 years so that we can repave our roads, that's ensuring that our city can keep pace with the growth of our city. I love the new announcements from UC Health. Lonnie Kramer called me first to express excitement about this over $400 million project that they're going to expand our campus. And you know why? Because they want to keep pace with the growth of our city, keep up pace with the growth of our city. And I told them, I said, that's music to my ears, because guess what? Lieutenant General David Miller said, we need your help with access to health care. So that is the work that we get to do as community leaders, because growth is going to happen. It's organic, because Colorado Springs is a city that everyone wants to be. But it's our job to make sure that we have the right infrastructure in place. All right, final.
Real quick, do you have a message of hope for the next year for the citizens?
Yeah, it's a message that, and I think I've always believed that here's where hope lives. There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of concern about the future, and hope lives in being historians as well as being futurists. I think we can look back at our own story. We can look back at the story of just human development, and to see that we have overcome so much. Many of you know that I'm a student of Abraham Lincoln and love his leadership, and that helps inspire my leadership. Part of being a student of Abraham Lincoln is also looking at what the mid-1800s were like in our country. And as hard as the challenges that we're facing today, it pales in comparison to what Americans dealt with in the mid-1800s. And you can see the progress we have made as a nation. I take hope in that yes, things are hard, but we're way better today than they were today. And I take hope in being a futurist and a better America, better tomorrow. And those things don't happen by chance or by accident. It takes all of us as residents actively involved in the work of democracy, in the work of hope, in the work of flourishing. And that's one of the reasons I stepped up to do my part. And I call our residents to do their part. And at the end of the day, regardless of what happens in the federal level, I want to remind all of us that what happens in your most local context actually affects the quality of your life. So get involved in the upcoming election, whether it's to support a candidate, you vote, because those decisions actually affect your quality of life more than what happens on the federal level. Be a good neighbor. At the end of the day, that's truly what hope looks like and lives like. Last night on my door was a note from my neighbor Sue. I wish I brought it. It was like it's like a whole thesis, and the whole thing was for her was just encouraging me. That's what hope looks like when neighbors care for one another, and we make our world a better place, one decision at a time. And that's truly how we transform America, one neighbor at a time.